Order. The House and Committee is resumed. The House is debating the Taxation, GST and Remedial Matters Bill. We are on clauses 1 and 2. The Honourable Trevor Mallard has call. He has approximately half a minute.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm sure
Honourable
that
Trevor Mallard.
I was referring at the time to clause 2, subclause 3, and I think I dealt with the commencement date of section 92, which of course in the bill is currently clause 92, and was moving on to clause 93, which is a pretty substantive area, which includes the new Schedule 22A. Yes, the Schedule 22A, the identified policy changes, which are in the block at lines 27. Mr. Chairman.
Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's very generous of you. As I was saying, the identified policy changes in Schedule 22A are due to come into force as at the 1st of April 2005. And the question I'd like to ask the Minister, and I see we have a new Minister in the chair, is for an assurance that these changes are advantageous to the shareholders, because this is retrospective legislation going back to the 1st of April 2005. And I think the principle involved in taxation legislation, and I can't quite tell if the Minister is bored already, whether she's been caring and pretending to listen, or whether she's given me the nod. She's given me the nod, and she has given me she's listening to me, and she's giving me, I think, an assurance that can someone get the member opposite to stand up? Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was just slightly off-putting. Mr. Chairman, that was a bit rough. Mr. Chairman, this is rough. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move on to subclause 4 of the commencement date, which deals with when sections 90B and 91 are treated as coming into force. And I'd like to ask a similar question. These are part, of course, of the bill as reported back by the Select Committee. It's not until we get to subclause 6 of clause 2 that we start focusing on the supplementary order paper, and I'm sure the Minister's well briefed on that, and will thank her, she'll be able to answer the questions, because of course there are a lot more questions when we get down to that part of the supplementary order paper. But in this case, sections 90B and 91, which do with the investor interest size requirement. And it's a new clause that's been added by the Select Committee, 90B, where it goes to an entity with an investor holding more than 20% of the total portfolio investor interest in a class does not breach the investor size interest requirement if the investor is listed in subsection 4. And the question I'd like to ask the Minister, because this is being brought into date now, but appears to be backdating to the 1st of October 2007, is whether there are any this list already exists, and whether it exists in legislation at any other point, because there's nothing in the bill which indicates that this list, which is going to come into force from the 1st of October 2007, actually exists now, or whether it is going to be a new list that is developed by the Commissioner, or whether it's listed in subsection 4. It's a question of whether, as part of subsection 4, it is part of the 2007 or the 2004 amendments to the Act, or whether subsection 4 refers, in fact, to the regulations which flow from this particular section of the Act. Moving now to section 11, and that is due to its treaty is coming to force on the 30th of November 2007. Mr. Chairman, and the question there, and I'm sorry, I'm just lost it. It's a question of special returns. And if there's a requirement to furnish a special return as is set up in section 17(1)(b) of the Act, whether you can retrospectively require someone to furnish a return before the current date when it came into force previously. I mean, frankly, I don't understand how you make someone furnish a return now or previously. You know, you've either furnished a return before now, and it should come into force now, the requirement to furnish the return, or, Mr Chairman, and you know, my colleagues to my left might be able to explain it to me, because again, it's part of the legislation. Either, how can you retrospectively furnish a return? This is a requirement to furnish a return. How could it possibly be retrospective? People have either furnished it or not. If they've furnished it, Mr Speaker, that's fine, but they can't go back and furnish something now. Mr Chairman?
Honourable David Cunliffe.